This test is about the brand 10 and their new big airboard, the Mark V2. The most striking feature, besides the heavily contoured underwater hull, is the additional center fin on the heel side. In preparation for the test, we were given a material with dimensions measuring 1 meter and 35 centimeters by 40 centimeters in width. The board has a rocker of 3.5 centimeters. This rather flat bottom curve gives the board excellent planing ability and really great acceleration. This all leads to an incredibly high and remarkably top speed. When it comes to reducing lateral drift, the Mark II from 10 is, in terms of its performance, exceptionally outstanding. This construction, with the fin in the center of the board on the heel side, along with the already heavily structured underwater hull, provides the ability that we can really run upwind really very well. It's optimal, of course, when the rider can distribute the weight evenly along the entire edge, and no weight is resting on the back foot. And to indeed highlight this construction again, this fin in the center can remarkably withstand an incredibly high pressure on the heel edge. Even in strong gusts at high speed, you just never get the feeling that you could slip away. This is of course somewhat counterproductive when switching the board. You just have to put in a little more effort to keep the board flat on the water surface while turning. Even when moving slightly sideways to the direction of travel, there is a slight braking effect. This can of course be balanced out with a slight ollie, as seen here, but you quickly get used to overcoming this slight resistance. And that's done by making a very slight weight shift from the back foot to the front foot. The Mark V2 doesn't have much rocker and is really tuned very sportily and tightly in terms of design. For that, the turning ability in medium radii is equipped with excellent grip on the edge. The front side edge turns a bit better overall, and on the back side the overall turning ability is still good. Let's take a look at the smoothness of the 10 Mark V2. Often it is the case that if you have a really tight board with not too strong a bottom curve, and everything is designed for a lot of grip, you can easily get stuck sometimes. If you now move both feet evenly against the small choppy waves, you notice the fin catches. But if you put more pressure on the back foot, the front fin is immediately free, and that gives you complete control again. The board is really finely tuned to the limits of what is possible. The whole setup benefits from the damping of the hull and the very nicely dampening construction, even though it is tightly tuned. When jumping, the design of the Mark V2 is such that you have to generate the maximum line tension in all conditions in order to achieve the best possible jumping result. And you really have to give credit where it's due. It works exceptionally well. Especially when jumping off the entire length of the edge, it's a whole new experience. No doubt about it. Because here the grip is just incredible. No matter how choppy it is, or how much technique you apply, you always have that 100% grip. You can also jump off the Mark V2 just as easily via the tail. The fins and the underwater hull structure alone provide a lot of grip, but the most efficient and also the really special thing about the board is simply the jump over the entire edge length. Accordingly, the edging process is also a somewhat longer one. In other words, shorter progressive edging is not so efficient here. And then you also realize that this center fin does not really support it and doesn't particularly want it, but really wants a long edging process, holding the edge cleanly until the end, and then it really comes off really well. Likewise, the landing is really very nicely tuned, meaning the whole flex of the board with the very slight V in the middle part, the concaves, the rails, it all fits together wonderfully so that you land very safely and with the option of making corrections, because at very low speed this grip of the center fin is not so noticeable. Accordingly, with a minimum of extra effort, it can be controlled and corrected very well. Even though the Mark V2 offers good performance that's easy to access, especially for planing and upwind behavior, it's not a beginner board, it's too tightly tuned. And the setup is perfect, allowing for early gliding, acceleration, but also grip and jumping performance. And if you're not that experienced and don't yet know exactly what you're doing, you can also exceed the range where the control ends. For the advanced rider, however, this is really fine stuff that will fulfill all wishes from very good intermediate riders to professionals. An excellent grip for board-offs, a perfect landing, a perfect grip as soon as the board touches the water again are the basic prerequisites for successful tricks. The board definitely does this 100%, and the rest is simply a question of what you dare to do. Just keep in mind, you can't just slide straight from the beach into the water because of the back fin. It's really a fine and powerful fun for a price of €835, which we absolutely stand behind.